whoa, whoa, said one of them, a man with dark eyes, whose voice was muffled through his mask, as he stepped in front of Kovalic. Where do you think you're going, pal? Came to see if I could help, he rasped, then coughed again. I'm Commonwealth military. I've got field medic training. He thought he saw the man's brow furrow behind the transparent face shield. I'm going to need you to step back, sir, said the firefighter, putting a hand on Kovalic's chest. The structure is unsafe, and there may be another explosive device. Kovalic blinked as he stepped backwards. Explosive device? He looked up at the black cloud which had begun to filter throughout the blue sky, obscuring the sun with a fine haze. Salaam was the safest place he'd ever lived. Even when the conflict with the Illyrican Empire had been a shooting war, the fighting had never touched Terra Nova. It had been largely insulated ever since the Commonwealth had declared the planet its capital, almost 2 decades ago. He started to open his mouth to ask how they knew it was a bomb, but at that moment several of the fire brigade came out of the building, escorting a handful of civilians in suits. Their clothes were ragged and torn, and many of them had blood dripping down their stunned faces as they stumbled into the light. A handful of security vehicles and 3 ambulances pulled up in the plaza, the latter disgorging blue-suited EMTs with military efficiency. They quickly took charge of the injured from the fire brigade. An additional pair of fire engines pulled up, producing their own water cannons and some drones. The security officers quickly started setting up a cordon, pushing the crowds back. Kovalic stared up at the fire, something in the back of his head still rolling back and forth, like one of those puzzles where you had to get a little metal ball into a hole. This seemed wrong, like reality was askew on its axis. He looked back at the initial team of firefighters, but they were loading up on their truck, their work of evacuating the building apparently complete. One of them, a tall, slender man by his silhouette, hung back, still looking up at the building with an uncertain air, but as he turned, he made eye contact with Kovalic through his faceplate. The dark eyes were cool and collected, not betraying anything, but Kovalic thought he detected a quirk of the eyebrows, almost in recognition. His breath drew in deep. No, it couldn't be. His brain was still muddled, playing tricks on him. He squeezed his eyes shut for a moment, then opened them for a closer look, but the firefighter was gone, the truck already starting to pull away from the scene. Kovalic looked around the plaza, at all the people rushing to and fro, the uniformed personnel, the walking wounded, the weeping, the shocked, and his mind flashed through all the battlefields he'd stood on in the past 20-odd years. He found himself sinking to a nearby bench, his head in his hands. This shouldn't be happening, not here. The firefighter must have been wrong. It couldn't have been a bomb. Must have been an accident, a power overload, unstable fuel cells. Who would bomb an office building in the downtown district on a weekend morning? His sleeve vibrated again. He thought he'd silenced it after the first emergency alert. But when he glanced down, he saw the display was garbled, pixelated with visual artifacts, as though it were a glass screen that had shattered after being dropped on the floor. After a moment, the pixels started to reorganize themselves, unscrambling into a series of irregular letters, like someone had cut them out of an old magazine. And as each word became clear, Kovalic's stomach sank deeper and deeper. The conviction that this wasn't some unfortunate accident solidified into cold, hard fact. He stared at the screen, the 3 words written there, and with them, his entire reality tilted, in ways that seemed almost imperceptible but irrevocable. And as he glanced about, he saw the same look on faces all around him, as others looked down at their own buzzing sleeves. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught sight of scrolling video signs attached to nearby buildings, the kind usually reserved for weather reports or headline news or ads. But now, they were also repeating the same 3 words as the ones on his sleeve, over and over, a never-ending chorus. Sic semper tyrannis. Chapter 2. Whoa, said Eli Brody, as the acceleration from even a slight tap to the throttle pushed him back into the pilot's seat. This thing is moving. Beside him, in the co-pilot's seat, Cassie Engel's smile was all kinds of smug.